Hey guys, this is Mishel, Deception Bytes, and I am back again. Hopefully this time you can see my screen. Had a bit of difficulty with the last video, as you know, and I am doing it over because I think it's pretty important that you see what I'm talking about. Otherwise, it's just a disembodied voice and a little cursor moving around, and that's just plain weird. So, we started off last time. Now, Q has not posted anything on 8chan that we know of, and yet this got posted, and you know, it's probably not Q, but it's somebody very close to Q, because you've got the National Security Agency mug here with the, looks like coffee, and you've got a cigar there, and the cigar says Q, and then it says quorum. So there has been some speculation that this might be Q. I don't know. I don't know if he can use the trip code that he's always used, because I don't know if the board is safe or not. I just don't know. It would take somebody far smarter than me to answer that. I don't know what is going on with the boards and whether or not he'll come back, or if all his posts are back. I'm glad that I've made a copy of them, but I just don't know at this point. So my theory is that he will post in that there's going to be a 10-day window of silence. He's done this before. So that would make his last post on February 24th, when he talked about the Russian spy and the bridge, and that was his, hang on, I can show you his last post real quickly here. This one. Stanislav Lunev, the bridge, payback for today, Q. That was his last post. That was February 24th. It is now, it's still March 3rd. I say still because it's 11:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. And I did want to get this re-uploaded before I went to bed because, well, I don't want everybody looking at a dark screen and, you know. Hey, so... okay, so this may be Q. If it's not Q, it's definitely someone on the inside, because I don't think that you can go and buy a National Security Agency mug at your local Walmart that I'm aware of. So, what is the message? Because there is a message here. Now, I'm thinking a couple things. Number one, a cigar sometimes is used for celebrations, such as when a baby's born or whatever. I don't know. It could be that it's the word quorum, and we can take a look at what quorum is. And also there is some software called Q Quorum, and I don't really know what the software does. I went out and looked at it. It's oh gosh, I can't even remember now, but I didn't understand what it did. And I'm usually pretty technically savvy. But if anyone wants to go out and just Google, well, don't Google, DuckDuckGo it, Q Quorum, you'll find this software company. And that could be pointing to that. I don't know. But I did look up what quorum is. I mean, I know what a quorum is, but I didn't know how it applied to, you know, politics. So what constitutes a quorum in the Senate? Well, Article 1, Section 5 of the Constitution requires that a quorum, 51 senators, be present for the Senate to conduct business. Often, fewer than 51 senators are present on the floor, but the Senate presumes a quorum unless a roll call vote or quorum call suggests otherwise. So what is a quorum call? Well, a quorum call is a procedure used in both houses of Congress to bring to the floor the number of members of the House or Senate who must be present for it to conduct its business. In the Senate, a senator who has the floor can force a quorum call at almost any time by suggesting the absence of quorum. A quorum in the House of Representatives is when a majority of the members are present. When there are no vacancies in the membership, a quorum is 218. When one or more seats are vacant because of deaths or resignation, the quorum is reduced accordingly. Everything you didn't want to know about quorums. And this is a hand-rolled cigar, by the way, whether it matters or not. And they're actually quite expensive, these guys. I love the smell of cigar smoke. I really love it. And I hate cigarettes. I absolutely despise cigarettes. And can't stand it, but there is something about a really good cigar that smells so good. Of course, I would never smoke one because I don't smoke, but I really do enjoy the smell. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay, now, I grabbed this off of somebody's Twitter page, and then we're going to look at a theory about winding back the clock and the whole mirror thing. So, QAnon told us to learn to read the map, and he did. He said that several times, learn to read the map. And I found that curious as well. I often thought, well, the map is just a graphic of all his posts, so what is there to learn to read it? Well, I think there was a lot more to it than we assume. And the other thing is he said about the mirror and about winding back the clock. And I never really understood what that meant. Well, there's a theory now, and I think it's pretty right on. So let me go ahead and read this. If we want to see the future, we have to look at the Q posts in the past. They claim to have a future view. Looking Glass Project. We are in the 10 days of darkness that started on February 24th. That's why they are not responding, meaning the Q team. It's all about the solved time delay clock. If you want to know what's relevant today, look at Q's posting at 11/11/2017. Tomorrow, November 12th, 2017 equals March 3rd. Then November 13th, 2017 equals March 4th. So basically he's saying these are like a mirror image. And see, March 3rd, 2018 equals November 12th, and could be interesting Q posted. Now, well, let me go on here, because I know that this is I found it a little bit confusing as well. And I'll show you what I'm planning on doing for hopefully Monday. And it's going to bring everything into clearer focus, I think. La la la. Okay. So, this is something that someone sent me to my email. And it's interesting because I had seen this, but I hadn't really looked at it very closely. And so once I did start looking at it and reading it and trying to assimilate it, I came to the conclusion that, well, I'm convinced that this is so. This is correct. So let's take a look at this. Interesting theory on Q posts and winding the clock back. So, hang on here. So these are just, anonymous posters in the 8chan board talking, and they've got this theory. So, links from previous breads heads up. An anon just pointed out that a lot of the November crumbs are very relevant today, lining up wind the clock started, etc., with going back to the earlier drops. Holy crap, I think I just figured out why POTUS announced re-election today. November 8th was election day, which, if we wind the clock in the day we should be on today, February 27th. Clock was activated on February 18th. We Hear You was posted by Q on 11/2. And I Hear You by the POTUS. Remember, we had that that page with him pointing to the number 5. I Hear You by the POTUS was February 21st. Election day, 11/8. I'm running for re-election. He stated that on 2/27. Wind the clock. Think mirror. So basically, what they're saying is that they've lined these up, and they're a mirror image of each other. So we're going back to November, and we're looking at those posts, but what we're looking at is relevant for what time period we're in right now. I'm hoping this becomes clear because it is a little bit confusing. And what I'm planning on doing is I'm laying out the posts, and I'm going to lay out the posts from November, and then I'm going to lay it out with its corresponding post from March, February and March, and then alongside any posts or tweets from POTUS and news articles and so forth. And I'm going to see if these line up, because I think that they do. And, you know, these guys have given me enough reason to think that they do line up perfectly. So I'm going to do that. I haven't had time today to do that because that would take a lot of work, and I have schoolwork to get done and so forth. But I'm planning on Monday. I'm taking a day on Monday, so I should be able to do that then. So, think mirror. Okay, Q posted clock activated on February 18th. Remember, Q started dropping intel around October 30th. So if we wind the clock, we go backwards. If we go all the way back to the beginning, things start to line up. February 18th, the clock was activated. 2/21, 3 days later, POTUS has listening session with kids and parents from Florida shooting. He writes, "I hear you," on line 5 of a piece of paper. Right when Q posted that day, SIG 55 read. Oops, where'd I go here? Where did I go? Okay, there I am. Wherever you go, there you are. All right. So 3 days after October 30th is November 2nd, when you posted, "We hear you." So we know that 11/2 is in sync with 2/21. Plus, the digits are the same, just reversed, like a mirror. Big tip, that this is our synchronization point. And they are, 11/2, 2/21. So then 5 days later in the Q drops on 11/7, we have a picture of North Korea. 5 days later in reality, which is February 26th, is the same day North Korea is in the news for chemical weapons. The next day in the Q drops was the anniversary of election victory for 11/8. The next day in reality is today, 2/27, and POTUS announces re-election bid. This confirms that we are on the same timeline. Matt Drudge makes himself look a little foolish to those not in the know by making a big deal over something that seems trivial. Of course POTUS is running. The headlines were actually a message to we Anons that we are still on the November timeline. Wonderful work, lad. Major insight is being slid. Okay. So they're saying if this is true, the CIA is being closed tomorrow. That would be February 28th, because this was posted on the 27th. And operations would be rolled into the NSA. That's because on November 9th, which is the corresponding spot in the timeline, POTUS wrote, POTUS didn't write it, Q wrote it, CIA dismantled, impossible to clean, operations NSA. So that's where they're getting that. Makes sense. Okay, then so 10/28, October 28th of 2017 was Q's first post, and then 2/27/18 is when they're posting this, and he said correct. 10/28 post said 10/30, October 30th would see Hillary Rodham Clinton's passport flagged and National Guard activated for duty. 10/30, October 30th, post didn't say much, but 10/30 syncs with 2/18 when Q said clock is activated, then cleaned the board and posted a flag pic. Okay, So, coincidentally, going back to, and I don't know what this links up with because these have been taken out of the, like it doesn't link up to anything here. With the explanation of wind the clock, 2:28 winds back to 11:08, which is the date that NBC heralded the end to high-profile political witch hunts with respect to the Whitewater hearings in 1996. Clinton, this is in line with POTUS witch hunt tweet today. So it's really interesting. It's an interesting theory. I don't think I'm going to go down all the way and read this because I'm going to put it in the description box for you. So I'll just read a couple more. Valid question. The way the mirroring is described makes sense, even with the initial post being on 10/28. So I'm rolling with it for now. Also, the timetable has been moved up as of 2/21, so things could play out earlier. Who knows? So anyway, that didn't really tell us much, but we've got like a little scale here, like 11:2 becomes 2:21, 11:3, 2:22, 11:4, 2:23, 11:5, 2:24, and we just keep walking it up. So I think it's going to help when I lay it all out, like, as of, okay, these are 11:2 posts, and these are the ones from February 21st, and they line up with POTUS tweeting this, and this was in the news. So I think when we do that, it's going to really pop out, and we're going to see it, illustrated more, because the way these guys are doing it, it's wonderful that they found this. I mean, it's brilliant, but it's a little confusing. So I'm just going to lay it out so that we can see it a little clearer. Okay, so I'm going to, I'm not going to go down all these, but I am leaving the link for you guys. Okay? So, let's go back to where we were and go down a bit. Now, I wanted to show you guys this as well because I think it's awesome. Social media freeway. And you've got right lane, must exit. Over here, you got the big trucks, YouTube, Google, Yahoo, Obama with this little Islamic symbol on it. And then you've got Twitter, Facebook, internet providers, and then you've got this Hillary van that has blacked out windows. Whoever did this has a wonderful sense of humor. Then you've got manure hauling, limousine liberals, Soros. But then here you've got they're exiting, but they're exiting right straight into the river or ocean or wherever they are. Well, it can't be the ocean because they don't have a bridge over the ocean. So alt media, new right, Trump supporters. And that's right. That's what's happening. And we have also Trump tweeting this. Mainstream media in U.S. is being mocked all over the world. They've gone crazy. And they really have. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. So I want to take you guys out to this. Last time it didn't work, but the screen was black anyway, so. And it's emergency transmission, massive internet purge happening now, end of free web is here. Now, I'm just going to play a bit of this.
On Twitter, on Periscope, that's it. We cannot go live on the Ellen Jones channel. It's been frozen for a third time in 1 week. Now, if you're just joining us, they're counting on you to not understand what's happening. This is part of a total purge of libertarians, Christians, nationalists, pro-gun groups from Australia to the UK, to the US, Europe. They are arresting hundreds of people today in Sweden and Germany that just say we shouldn't have open borders to ISIS. They are imprisoning women. I mean, it's all over the news, but only here. In Europe, you're not allowed to report on it. Police chiefs are being fired that say we're having thousands of rapes by Islamic rape gangs. The censorship is unbelievable. Chinese communist-style censorship, where they don't announce it, they just block you, is here. Apple, all of them are moving to China. They're modeling everything off China. It's totally draconian. They admitted 3 weeks ago in the Wall Street Journal they were going to ban me first and to set a precedent. They actually said my name, and that they would then go after everybody else. The Wall Street Journal was interviewing the CEO of News Corp, who's working with Google, Facebook, and Twitter to do this all at the same time. Now, YouTube admitted that their servers were hijacked by employees that weren't supposed to in the last week, and thousands of channels were deleted. How huge is that? They said, we hired the Southern Poverty Law Center, 10,000 people, this leftist globalist offshore group. We hired 10,000 of them, YouTube said, that's Google, to run things. They took the strikes off and admitted that the videos that they had removed were not what they claimed. I said that no kids died, that was bullying kids, that I actually said they did die. And that embarrassed CNN and others because they had said those videos said that, when the videos said the opposite. And the videos talked about the police stand down. We first covered that the day after. We broke that. It's confirmed now. So I'm just giving you some background. This is the internet purge, people. So many folks go, oh, Alex, just don't be on YouTube anymore. We have our own video platform. We're on TV and radio stations. We get that. The fact is, they're being directed by political groups to not give service and violate the contracts of millions of people. If you can lose a suit for $500,000 for not baking a gay couple's cake, well, if you don't bake the cake, they can't sit there and say, well, you can't be on YouTube. Prager University's suing. They're all suing. Mild preachers are being blocked. Snopes is saying Christianity isn't real and Christ didn't exist, even though Roman historians and Jewish historians said they did. Google Assistant says Jesus isn't real. My point is, these folks are in full control, and they're globalist, and they're doing this, and then people get confused. Some media even goes, oh, Jones, there's no strikes against you, when the site comes back, hoping you forget about what's going on. And again, late last night, they put the third strike on. The channel's frozen, but they haven't deleted it yet. And they gave us strikes for the same videos that they...
Okay, I'm going to leave the link for this so that you can continue watching it if you want to, but it's almost 14 minutes long, so I don't want to just sit and play, this, because I know some people don't really agree with Alex Jones, and that's fine, but what he's saying about internet censorship is absolutely real. So, let's go back here. Where was I? Okay. And I also want to show you this. Now I'm not going to play it because it's a podcast, and but I am going to leave the link to it. But I just want to tell you what it's about. And if you're interested in hearing the podcast, it's by the Corbett Report, which I think is pretty good. Now openly admitted, governments and militaries around the world employ armies of keyboard warriors to spread propaganda and disrupt their online opposition. Their goal, to shape public discourse around global events in a way favorable to their standing military and geopolitical objectives. Their method, the weaponization of social media. This is the Corbett Report. I'm going to leave the link to that as well in the description. That's exactly what's happening. That's what's happening here on YouTube. That's why so many people have been purged. There are certain things that you just don't mention. One of them is the whole Florida debacle. And that's why, I'm just not going to get into it. I think everybody knows how I feel. I feel the same way as all the rest of the Patriots. So, however, I don't want to lose my ability to say everything just because I touched on that. Do you see what I'm saying? To me, it's not worth losing the right to say everything because, YouTube is a big platform. And so you can reach more people on YouTube than you can DTube or any of the others. So, for now, it's like walking a tightrope, but I'm really praying that things get better because this is awful. And honestly, unless something's done, I don't see how the right can win any elections because pretty soon the only narrative that will be acceptable is the narrative of the left, the Democrats. And all the conservative voices will be censored. Anything that they don't agree with will be censored, and they can do that. They own the media, That's it. Oh, it's so frustrating. It's really frustrating. And it's frustrating knowing that everything you see on any mainstream media is now Fox, I think, is doing much, much better, but it's just, it's frustrating. It takes a lot of work to go through everything and find out the truth for yourself. And I think that that's why people, tune into people like me and others. There's lots of people doing wonderful job in kind of breaking all of this down, because not everybody has the time to do that. So, and you really do have to break it down and find out the truth. So I do try my best to get at the truth. I may not always be right, but I will always apologize and correct when I am wrong. So anyway, let's go back. Now here's something else interesting. Remember when the last thing that Q said was the bridge, and he named the Russian spy. Well, here you have a book actually called The Bridge, The Life and Rise of Barack Obama. I did go out to Amazon to take a look at this. I didn't buy it because I just don't really want to read about the life and rise of Barack Obama, because I really doubt it's going to be the truth. But interesting that this quote by Stanislav Lunev, the best spy will be everybody's best friend, not a shadowy figure in the corner. Interesting. Now, we know that he has ties to the Soviet, so just interesting. I found that on somebody's Twitter and I grabbed it to show you. So, now, using that timeline like a mirror, as we just went over, this weekend would line up with Suicide Weekend. Do you remember when Q said that? He said Suicide Weekend this weekend, and I don't recall anything happening. Well, it lines up with this weekend, and we've already had two suicides. We had the guy outside the White House. I do have a link here, but I'm not going to go out to that because it's not important, other than, I mean, it is important. Anytime somebody dies, it's important. But what I'm saying is it's only important in terms of Q because it lines up with this whole theory. So he killed himself outside of the White House, and he didn't die right away, but I'd heard that he has now died. So that is one suicide. And then, interestingly enough, how about FBI agent Wisenant, who was investigating Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Erman Awan? His body washed up on Broward County Beach, determined a suicide. Sheriff is a Muslim, things that make you go, Well, not only that, but that is Debbie Wasserman Schultz area, Broward County. So that's her district. And that's also ties into the corrupt, very, very corrupt sheriff there. So, I don't know. They're saying it was a suicide. I doubt that. Anyway, let's go on. Now, this is interesting. You know the executive order that POTUS signed about seizing the assets of people that were engaged in certain activities? That was December 21st. Well, the Treasury Department Office of Foreign Asset Control published a list of all people and organizations whose assets have been blocked or frozen as a result of the December 21st executive order by POTUS. And it's a 1,100-page document, and don't worry, I have no intention of reading it. But I am going to leave the link for you because so many people are discouraged right now and they're saying, nothing's happening. There's tons of things happening. We just don't see it. There's lots and lots and lots of things happening. So this is just proof. And this came out February 27th, 2018, so it's fresh off the press. And I'll leave the link to it if you wanted to take a look at it. I'm sure there's some interesting things in there. And remember this, and my last video was about this, watch the water, but here's another theory. Here is a presidential executive order on restoring the rule of law, federalism, and economic growth by reviewing the waters of the United States rule. And this was issued on February 28th. So let's just go have a boo at that. I will leave the link for this as well in the description. And here we are. By the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, policy. It is in the national interest to ensure that the nation's I did this in the last video too. I cannot say this word. Navigable. Okay, I'll stop. Waters are kept free from pollution while at the same time promoting economic growth, minimizing regulatory uncertainty, and showing due regard for the roles of the Congress and the states under the Constitution. Review of the waters of the United States rule. The administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, administrator, and the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works shall review the final rule entitled Clean Water Rule, definition of waters of the United States, for consistency with the policy set forth in Section 1 of this order, and publish for notice and comment a proposed rule rescinding or revising the rule as appropriate and consistent with law. Now, it goes on. I'm not going to read all this because I'm going to leave the link for you, because I don't even know if this is what Q was referring to. I don't know. I don't think any of us know, but we're told to watch the water, and we are. We're paying attention to everything in the news surrounding water. There we go. Now, let me go back here. And anyone who thinks huge things aren't happening behind the scenes should take a look at the list of audits the OIG is doing. And that's the Office of the Inspector General. From ATF to DEA slush funds to huge government contracts for private companies. So let's take a boo at what they're doing. Don't say nothing's happening, because there's lots happening, lots and lots. Now, this is the Office of the Inspector General, U.S. Department of Justice, and this is in the section Ongoing Work. Now, look at everything that's happening. Administrative subpoenas, ATF control over agent cashier funds, ATF's implementation of the Frontline Initiative, ATF weapons and munitions, audit of efforts to safeguard minors in Department of Justice youth-centered programs, audits of DOJ and select components annual financial statements, audit of justice management, audit of BOPs, counterterrorism efforts, audit of the court security procurement process, audit of the Federal Bureau of Investigation covert contracts, audit of the National Institute of Justice grant management, and on and on and on and on and on it goes. So there's lots happening. Lots. Look at all this stuff ongoing. It's huge. So, don't say nothing's happening. Things are happening. It's just not the things that we want to happen. We want to see Hillary brought to justice. We want to see Obama brought to justice. We want to see McStain, the man of whom we do not speak, brought to justice. So, and Podesta definitely brought to justice. So, I'll leave that. Now, here's something interesting as well. Here's a pre-solicitation notice, and it's for building 13,000, basically redoing Guantanamo so that it can be, or renovating or whatever. The Naval Facilities Engineering Command Southeast has been tasked to develop, solicit, and award a single award firm fixed price design bid build contract for the construction of a contingency mass migration complex, or for 13,000 migrants and 5,000 support forces at naval stations Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. The estimated price range for the entire project is between 25 million. Is that million? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It could be billion. I'm terrible at math. No, seriously, I'm really bad at math. Okay, so they're saying it's for migrants. However, why would they be putting migrants in Guantanamo Bay? And notice that it's 13,000 units and 5,000 support staff, which is interesting because if we look down here, and I know this is very small, it has all the indictments listed from, hang on here, from October 30th, 2017 through January 26, 2018. How many indictments have there been? Sealed indictments. 13,605. And the normal amount would be 1,077. That would be normal. But we've got 13,605. Don't say nothing's happening. So, would this have anything to do with them expanding Guantanamo? I would think so. I can't imagine why they would put migrants in Guantanamo Bay. Doesn't make sense to me. But then, hey. All right. Now, I missed a few things last time, but I think they're down here further. Yeah, I just had this from Jerome Corsi, talking about the censorship, and what else did I have? I think we've looked at that before, so I thought for sure we had missed something, but I could be wrong. All right. I think that's it. So, I'm sorry about the earlier video being dark, and whoever wrote Black Screens Matter, that was hysterical. I mean, hysterical. So anyway, I'm glad that I have people with a sense of humor that listen. And thank you so much for everything. I will be back. I may do something tomorrow. I'm not sure. I've got a lot of schoolwork to get done. So I'll try though. That's all I can do. But definitely Monday. So make sure that you're still subscribed if you want to be subscribed. And if you're having trouble finding my videos, just go to my channel because I don't know what they're doing, but I hear things from people that, they just don't get notified or whatever. So anyway. If you go to my YouTube channel and just look for the latest videos, you'll always be able to find it. Unless I get booted off. And that's possible too. So, anyway, I will talk to you guys later. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. And I hope when I upload this that you're able to see the screen.